Reports that a small plane has crashed into a house in Clarence Center.
And all of a sudden we have no response to that aircraft.
There's nothing that any of us could have done or said to make it not happen.
It's Groundhog Day, and we'll be back in D.C. again.
I hope they never forget Kevin and Ellie and Mary, Abraham, and all the other victims that were lost that night, and the contribution that we lost that they could have made to this world.
All day long, we've been remembering and honoring those lost 10 years ago in the crash of Colgan Air Flight 3407. 50 people and an unborn baby died when the plane crashed into a house in Clarence Center on February 12, 2009. And in the decades since, we have seen the victims' families grieve, honor their loved ones, and fight to keep this from happening again. We have live team coverage tonight with my colleague Scott Levin at the crash site, 2 on Your Side's Kelly Dudzik at Zion Lutheran Church, and a live look at the procession from the church to the crash site underway. We begin with Scott, who was live on the air here the night of that crash. What do you remember about that night, Scott?
You know, Mary Alice, I remember the evening was an eerily similar night to what it is tonight, except 10 years ago, there was a little bit more ice in the air. Tonight, I just want to let you know that the family and friends have arrived from a church service about a half a mile away in Clarence Center. They've arrived to the site here, and you can see right now, there's probably about 100 people. They've arrived a little early. They were going to have their moment of silence at 10:17, but I'm going to step aside right now and let Jerry show you that they've all gathered together right now. We're seeing a whole bunch of people here tonight, state police, local firemen, and family and friends to remember and honor their loved ones. I remember that night, Mary Alice, we were preparing for the late news. It was like any other night, and we were listening to the scanners, and we thought we heard a small prop plane may have fallen. Maybe a two-seater, and may have landed in a farmer's field. We weren't sure, but very quickly during the 11 o'clock news, we learned through text, emails, and phone calls, I learned that it was a commercial jetliner that had fallen from the sky here on Long Street in Clarence Center, right on the home of Karen and Doug Walensky. 49 people on that plane died, one in the home, Doug Walensky, and an unborn child. Now, during the last 10 years, families of the victims, they have been relentless and successfully fought for laws to ensure safer skies for all of us. The Aviation Safety Bill passed in 2010, and that actually tightened, Mary Alice, rules on pilot training, experience, and rest hours for these pilots. Rules that airlines, they were not happy to have in place, and they continue to fight this day. Lawmakers said yesterday that these laws that this group fought so hard for are the exact ones, the reason no commercial airliner has crashed in the past decade. Tonight, family members left the church, and they are holding this candlelight vigil, and my colleague Kelly Dudzik was at the church just down the street. Kelly?
Yes, Scott, the ceremony ended just about 15 minutes ago to honor all those lives lost 10 years ago. We heard from the man who was pastor here at Zion Lutheran Church 10 years ago, and the woman from the Red Cross who helped the Flight 3407 families grieve in the hours, days, months, and years following the crash. The first officer from the Miracle on the Hudson also shared words about how, because of these families and due to their sacrifice, dozens of people are alive because of flight safety reform. The former chair of the NTSB echoed those words, citing the work these families have done in Washington to make our skies safer. And Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul also agreed, saying the journey these families are on is about saving lives.
Through you, I witnessed something I had never seen before in my entire life. And that was the strength and resiliency of the human spirit at its finest. You inspired me.
So much was said tonight about all of the work that these families have done to make us all safer, and it's work, Scott, that they are continuing to do.
Stephen L. Johnson, George Abu Karam.
Mary Alice, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm trying to use a soft voice as they're reading off the names of those that perished that night.
Brian
One man
David
that we have
Kublowitz,
not heard from yet
Beth
had such an
Ann
important role in
Krishnan,
the story and legacy of Flight
Sean
3407,
Andrew
and that was the air
Lang,
traffic controller who was working
Maddie
that
Loftus,
fateful night